Okay, guys, welcome back to the Apple School of Knowledge. And today is our first lecture regarding the FMA. That is your your management accounting F2. And today is our lecture number one. And this lecture will discuss that we are doing to study the part A, the nature, sources, and purpose of management information. And today lecture, we will start chapter number one, that is accounting for management. And this chapter, we will discuss the topic that is data and information. That what does we mean by data and what do we mean by information? And then we will do some MCQs for better understanding it. Okay, so let me discuss it here and then we will read the book stuff. Clear? Okay. So the first thing is what does we mean by the data? You have data, and the other hand, you have information. So what is the difference between data and information? Okay, you will be tested for this in your exam, and that will be MCQs based. Clear? So by data we mean that data is actually the raw facts, you may say events or transaction. Okay, so that we call as uh, data. Let's say you have a number like 5 9 8 3 4 100. So this is not properly arranged, and this is just a data, that is just a fact, this is just a number. This you may call it a transaction. Let's say it's a transaction number. Then it's not clear, that we call that this is data. For example, you give the question, you just getting the question and responses in the market survey, then that will be your data. So the example is questionnaire responses, questionnaire responses in a market survey, then that is your data. Clear? Now on the other hand, you have uh, on the other hand, you have information. That what does we mean by information? So let me first line it. Okay, so what does we mean by information? Information is actually, or you may say like, this data is processed. When the data is processed, we mean that the processed data that is meaningful and useful, then we call that is the information. So we say that the processed data that is meaningful, and if they are meaningful, then definitely they will be useful too. So the example is that as we have just collect the questionnaire responses from the market survey, then a report analyzing the survey responses for decision making, that will be your information. So the report analyzing analyzing the survey responses for decision making. So that will be the information. Now, what are the qualities for good information? Let's say there is some information which may be good, which may be uh, not good, but maybe there's some qualitative deficiency. So what are the qualities that are required for a good information? So the first one quality is the good information has the qualities which is very mandatory uh, for the information to be more useful and more meaningful. The first one, the information should be relevant. We call it relevancies. So the information must align with the user purpose. Mean the information must align with the user purpose. So when the user asking information about mobile and you are providing information about television, then your information is irrelevant and the information is baseless and they are just wasting the time of the user. The information is not clear, not relevant for the user. So, for example, a sale reports for the marketing manager should focus on the sale data, not unrelated topics like they asking for the sale data and you are providing budget data, you are providing some other data, then this is completely irrelevant. The second quality which is required for good information, that is completeness. The information you are providing or you are getting should be complete. So what does we mean by completeness? We means that the information should provide a full picture. What does it mean? It means that, let's say, a budget report must include all expenses. Missing details can lead to a wrong decision. So means whatever the information is required for the decision making should be complete, should be updated. Okay. Now the third one is accuracy. The information you are providing should be correct. Should be correct, but it should not be overly detailed and not overly detailed. Okay, this means that sale figure should be rounded. Let's say the sale figure should be rounded to the nearest thousand, unless the exact number are critical. So you mean the information you are providing should be correct. Let's say if you are providing this figure, let me write here 95.99, or you may say 96. So this information is overly detailed and this information is correct and is simple. So what does it mean? That information should be correct. This information and this information both are same. So we have to just you have just to round it to the nearest number, and the information should not be O detail. So if you're providing like this figure, like O detail figure, then that is will show that will reduce the quality of your information. Clear? The fourth thing, which is very important, then you must have clarity and your information. By clarity, we mean that that is easy, easy to understand, easy to understand, and well presented. So when there is clearance, there is clarity in information, then that will be better uh, to understand, and that will give up that sort of information we call as a qualitative information. For example, if you are using graph to show the trend in revenue rather than raw table, let's say you are providing this is a raw table, let me raw table, and this is, let's say, a revenue table. Clear? Here you say 5, then you have 8, then you have 9, and then you have 1000. This is revenue. Now if you are providing this in Word, if you are providing like this, you have this one, this one, this one, like this. It means that, let's say, here you have 800, here you have 900, here you have 1000. So this means that this show the the clarity for understanding. So use graph to show trend and revenue rather than a table, then that will show the clarity, that will be easily understand and well presented for the user. They will understand that what is the trend of the revenue. Clear? Then the fifth one is competence. Competence. What does we mean? What do we mean by the competence? Competence means that the information should be trusted. The information you are providing should be credible. So we mean that information should be trusted and should be credible. Okay, when the information you are providing is trusted and is credible, then that information will show quality in the data you're providing. So let's say if using estimated data, then you have to state the assumption clearly to build the confidence. Okay, if you are providing the estimated data, then you have to clearly state your assumption. So when the user studying, when the user getting knowledge, or you reading the information, then they will clearly see the assumption, and this assumption will build the confidence over the estimated data. Clear? Then number 6 is your communication. By communications, we means that information must reach uh, to the right person and the right format. Clear? What uh, what does it mean that the information must reach to the right person? Let's say the sale data is required, or the sale informations are required for the sale manager, and you are providing this data to the finance manager, let's say. So your information to the finance manager is irrelevant, because the information should reach to the sale manager, and that should be and the format which is readable and which is easy for understandable to the cell manager. So you have to use the right you have to communicate the information to the right person, plus the information should be in the right format. Clear? uh, for example, a budget summary is sent monthly to the manager for tracking expenses, so that should be to the budget manager. Now, what about the volume of information? What about the volume? What sort of volume you have to suggest for your information? Sometimes you are using a lengthy or a heavy file of information, then that should not be manageable for the high profile people like your high up. So you have to maintain the information in manageable and concise way. So what we mean by that volume, so the volume of the information should be manageable and should be concise. Okay, don't use over over detail, or you may say heavy file of information, because that will be disgusting, that will be not easy to digest and easily to absorb. So okay, so the information should be when you are a one page executive summary rather than a 50-page detailed report. So one page executive summary is manageable and concise to read as compared to the 50 or the 70 pages detailed report. Clear? Then you have number 8 is the timing, which is very important. That is that the information should be timely and provided when needed. So should be timely and provided when needed. This means that sale data for the monthly meeting should not arrive a week late. It should be on time when it is required or when it's needed. And the last, maybe the ninth one, is channel of communication. By channel communication, we means that delivered through appropriate medium. When you are providing information, then you should use the appropriate medium or platform to deliver the information. Like job opening posted on the recruitment site for a wider reach. Let's say you want to recruit some people, then you have to advertise that job opening on the recruitment side, so that every candidate that want to join or want to get that post, and that it will be easy for them to reach that will be the wider reach. So you have to provide the appropriate medium for the information. Clear? Then in the last, you have to be more concerned with, that is cost. So you have to the value must justify the expenses. What does it mean? That you have to consider, let's say you are getting the information, and the information costing is, let's say, $100, and the benefit it provides is $90. Then you should not go for this, because you have to wait off, and the value must justify the expense. So mean whatever the expense you are anchoring, then that should justify the value you are getting. So for example, using a cost effective survey to collect customer feedback. So if the customer feedback is worth $90, you're getting 90 and you are spending $100,000, then it is should not be, the information is not qualitative. So in summary, I will say that data should be data is your raw facts. Okay, and information is your process data, and that is meaningful for the user and actionable. You can take decision on that information actionable. Then we have discussed some qualities of information, and we have studied that information should be relevant, complete, accurate, clear, trustworthy, well communicated, manageable in volume, timely, appropriately channel, and cost effective. Clear? Okay, let's move on to the book. So we will just read it out and then we will do some MCQs. Clear? Okay, here this is the book here, and we are just doing the chapter number 1. And the chapter number 1, you will see here. Okay, data is a raw material for data processing, and data relates to the facts even in transaction and so forth. So what we have studied, that data is a raw fact. Now information is the data that has been processed in such a way as that to be meaningful to the person who receive it, and information is anything that is communicated. Okay, this is just the definition that information is the process data, and that is meaningful and actionable. Then information is sometimes referred to the process data. We have discussed this. The term information and data are used interchangeably. Okay, fine. It is important to understand the difference between. Okay, fine. Okay, researcher who conduct market research survey might ask member of the public to complete questionnaire about the product or service. Now these completed questionnaire or data. So we have discussed that the questionnaire responses uh, you know uh, in a market survey is the data. Now they are processed and analyzed in order to prepare a report on the survey, and this resulting report is information. So the whatever the report you have prepared on the base of the questionnaire that is your data, and that information after the data when the data is being processed and analyzed, and you prepare a report on the server, that report will be your information. Now there's some qualities of information, that what are the qualities for good information, and we have discussed this in a very detail, but let me show you here that information should be relevant, complete, accurate, clear, and it should inspire and confidence, and it should appropriately communicate it. Its volume should be manageable, it should be timely, and should cost less than the benefit it provided. At cost should be less than the benefit it provided. What does we mean by relevance? Relevance means that information should be relevant for the purpose for which the manager or the user want. So you are providing the relevant information to the relevant. Complete information should provide a pulling all information they need to their job properly. So that should provide a full facture. Then accuracy, about accuracy we have discussed, that should be correct, but that should not be overly detailed. So information should obviously be accurate, because using incorrect information could have serious and damaging consequences. How information should only be accurate enough for its purpose, and there's no need to go through unnecessary detail for pointless accuracy. Then you have seen here clarity. The clarity we mean that information must be clear to the user, and if the user doesn't understand it properly, then information is useless. So the information they cannot be used properly. Lack of clarity is the one that caused the breakdown of communication. It is therefore important to choose the most appropriate presentation medium or the channel of communication. Then you have confidential information must be trusted by the manager, trusted by the manager who are expected to use it. However, not all information is certain. Some information has to be certain, especially operating information. For example, production process, strategic information, especially related to the environment, is uncertain. However, if assumption underlining it is clearly stated. So what does it mean? That if you are providing information to the manager, that information should be trusted by the manager. But here here the information, and not every information is certain. There must be some information that is uncertain. In case of uncertainty, then you are when you are estimating something, then you are taking assumption. The assumption should be clear, and when the assumption is clearly stated, that might enhance the confidence with which the information is perceived. Clear? Then we have discussed about the communication, that within any organization, individuals are given the authority to do certain tasks. Okay, fine, and they must give the information they needed to do that. So an office manager might be made responsible for controlling expenditure in the office and given a budget expenditure limit for the year. As the year progresses, the manager might try to keep expenditure in check, but unless they are told throughout the year what is the current total expenditure to date, they will find it difficult to judge whether they are keeping within the budget or not. So this is simply means that the information must reach to the right person at the right at the right format. So this means that the information which is required for this office manager should be reached to this office manager on time, and in the proper format which is readable and which is understandable for this office manager. Then you have volume. About volume, we have discussed that volume of the information should be concise and should be limited to, if you have if the volume is not concise and it's too heavy, then it will be difficult for the reader to understand or absorb all the things. So volume, by volume we means that there are physical and mental limitation to the person that can read, absorb, and understand properly before taking action. So enormous mountain of information, even if at all relevant, cannot be handled. A report to be managed must therefore clear and concise, and many system control action work basically on exception principle. And we have discussed this, and I'm clear that I have told you that a one-page executive summary is qualitative information rather than a 50-page detailed report. So the information should be concise and clear. Then about timing, we have discussed that uh, timing, that information is not available, information which is not available until after a decision is made will be useful only for comparison and longer term control, and may serve no purpose even then. Information prepared too frequently can be serious disadvantage. If the, for example, decision is taken at a monthly meeting about a certain aspect of the company operation, information may make the decision only required once a month. So weekly reports should be timely consuming waste of effort. This means that the information should be timely and provided when they need it. So when the permission is needed, then you have to provide it, and that should be on time basis. Then there is another aspect that is called channel of communication. And about channel communication, we have discussed that deliver the information through appropriate medium. So there are occasions when using one particular medium, communication will be better than others. For example, a job vacancy should be announced medium where they are brought to the attention of the people most likely to be interested. So this the channel of communication might be company intranet, national newspaper, and magazine and other stuff. So other information must be communicated by telephone or tools. This means what does it mean? That means that the information should be delivered through appropriate medium. And I have given the example that let's say job opening posted on a recruitment site for a wider reach. Then about cost, we have discussed that information should be where is okay uh, cost information should have some value, otherwise it would not be worth of cost collecting. So it's simply saying that the value must justify the expenses. Whatever you are spending should justify the value you are getting. For example, when you have to using cost effective survey tool to collect the customer feedback. What does it mean by the cost effective? Mean that when you are getting the feedback, that should be worth more than you are spending. Clear? Now we have some uh, MCQs. We have to discuss the MCQs, and then we will wrap it up. So if in simple terminology, if I just sum up the whole thing before let me do the MCQs, then I will just summarize the whole lecture. Okay, MCQ number one: what is the primary differences? Okay, what is the primary differences between the data information? The answer is data is actionable, information is raw. Data is raw, information is processed. Both are the same. Data is meaningful, information is factual. So the option B is the correct one, because data is raw fact and information is the processed data. So data is a raw and unprocessed, while information is processed and meaningful. Okay, then you have the MCQs number second, which the following quality ensure information is easy to understand. So that is the clarity. If there is clarity in the information, then that clarity ensure the user can understand and utilize the information effectively. So this is the end of this lecture, but let me summarize the key concept. We have discussed the data and information, and I have told you that data is a raw and unprocessed fact, events or transaction, and information is processed data that is meaningful and useful for decision making. Then we have discussed the qualities of the good information, that information should be relevant, which means that information should be relevant to the purpose for which it is needed. Irrelevant information waste times. And then we have discussed completeness, that all this information must be provided for the effective decision making. Then about accuracy, we have discussed that information should be sufficiently accurate for its purpose but avoid unnecessary detail. Then about clarity, we have discussed that information must be clear and understandable to avoid miscommunication. Miscommunication. And then about competence, we have discussed that information must be effectively communicated to the right people at the right time. And about volume, we have discussed that only relevant and concise information should be provided. Too much information can be difficult for the recipient to digest or absorb. So by timing, with timing, we have discussed that information must be available in time for decision making. Too early or too late can be useless. And then we have discussed the channel of communication. That the channel of communication used to communicate information should suit its purpose, mean that you have to use the appropriate channel for the channel or platform for the transferring the information or delivering information. And in the last, we have discussed about the cost, that the value of information should be outweighed its cost. So the cost benefit study should be conducted before investing in information system. So we have done with this lecture, and inshallah we will continue in the next lecture the other key concept. Okay, thank you for watching.